The three that got away. As you know from my work, I'm a narcissistic psychopath, diagnosed by the good doctors. And therefore, I have narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. I knew at an early age that I was different. I knew at an early age that I was set apart from other people. I, of course, did not at that early age know that I was a narcissistic psychopath, but I knew that I delighted in the treatment of individuals in a particular way, so that I gained power over them. And part of that realization came from observing the way that my mother, matriarch, behaved with other people. I watched as the way that she would cold-shoulder people, ignore them, berate them with an arched eyebrow, and I saw their responses and reactions to this. Their quivering responses, the way that they shrunk back, the way that they fawned over her, begged, pleaded, sought her attention, sought her favour. And as I saw that, I thought, I want that too. I once thought that that was the point at which I became that which I am. But as a consequence of my work with the good doctors, I realized that my psychopathy and my narcissism was entrenched well before that age, and that was just a manifestation, a growing awareness. As I flexed my manipulative muscles as I grew older, then I learned more and more in the way to manipulate. I understood how it made me feel. I recognized that I always had to have control. I understood that I needed fuel. I saw people as possessions. I wanted to collect them, draw them into me, puppet them. I recognized that the world viewed such behavior as wrong, yet I did not. I viewed it as entirely acceptable. These individuals, weaker than I, deserved to be treated in the way that they did. If they didn't, they would do something about it. And thus my knowledge increased about what I am. It was only when I had finished university and one of my intimate partner primary sources, a psychology graduate, told me in non-judgmental terms, HG, I believe that you're a narcissist and a psychopath. She explained why. I listened. I have a thirst for knowledge, especially about me. And some of the things that she said made sense, resonated with me. I recognized them. Of course, in that moment, I could not agree with her because to do so would give her control. And I explained that was all very interesting, but I didn't see that it was valid or applicable. She tried to debate with me, again, doing so in a fair and even-handed manner. She didn't lose her temper. She didn't seek to preach to me, but instead just sought to explain. That was her nature. The truth seeker and the truth giver that she was, as the particular empath that she was. But then I knew that I had a label for what I was, narcissist and psychopath. I was pleased that I had a label for what I was, and I went and read more. And some of the things that I read resonated with me and others they did not. But now I had a label, in my early 20s, as to what I was. But I had known from prior to that I was different, that I was set upon this earth to achieve greatness, that I was here because I would bring influence to bear. And that is why I became the eminent screeze that I am now. And that is why I have the fingers in all the various different pies, military, political, commercial. I often talk, however, about the interactions that I have with romantic partners and familial ones, and sometimes a little about business, but much of that I have to keep shrouded, for now, in order to preserve my identity. In actual fact, the most extensive and what you would determine as evil and wicked of my manipulations occurs within those spheres, the business, the political, the commercial, and as yet I can't tell you the full totality of them. That doesn't stop me from explaining all about the narcissistic dynamic in a way that enables you to understand and to benefit you. I take those instances and dilute the knowledge and information to pass on to you. But alongside that, I do frequently provide you with examples of the way that I interact with people within the romantic sphere, particularly because that is where you, as individuals, find that you have interacted with narcissists the most, and where it causes the greatest level of devastation. I'm a nomad. I ensnare somebody if I make them the intimate partner primary source. They will be devalued, and I disengage. My longest relationship with an intimate partner primary source has been 4 years, 3 years of which were marriage. Thereafter, I disengaged. All my other relationships have been time periods beneath that length. This does not cause me a problem. It's easy for me to ensnare such individuals. It's easy for me to draw them to me as a consequence of my charisma, my magnetism, my Machiavellian behaviours, my rugged good looks, the fact that I dress well, that I'm urbane, well-mannered, fascinating to talk to, an interesting conversationalist, and utilise a particular form of humour. I'm also particularly adept between the sheets. All of this enables me to draw people to me, whether romantically or otherwise, to collect them, to put them in my case. Little figurines that I can then put in their requisite compartments within my fuel matrix, my possessions. And thus I have had many intimate partner primary sources, and from time to time I tell you about my interactions with them, in order for you to understand more about me, H.G. Tudor, as an individual, but also to enable you to understand how the ultra interacts with these individuals. With each of these intimate partner primary sources, I seduce them, I devalue them, and I disengage from them. Thereafter, they never become my intimate partner primary source again because I am the nomad, but I will hoover them, and I do so repeatedly. Indeed, in one instance, I hoovered one of my intimate partner primary sources after 12 years. There is always a risk, as I tell you, of there being a hoover. People invariably want to know much about my dynamic with the partners that I have had, the girlfriends, the cohabs, my wife, or rather ex-wife. And I provide you with that information, and people often wonder, have any of your intimate partner primary sources escaped you, HG? Or is it that you were always the one to disengaged? Well, 3 have actually escaped me. All of my former intimate partner primary sources reside within something that I call the asylum of the grotesque, a place where I put them, and I revisit to hoover them, to draw fuel from them, to assert control over them. I do so for the purposes of ensuring that I am able to obtain my fuel from them, to gain residual benefits from them, and to ensure that I am in a position to gain what I need, the provision of the prime aims. But I never take them back to be the intimate partner primary source. They retain the status of former intimate partner primary source because I am a nomad. But 3 of them did escape me. The asylum of the grotesque is where all of the secrets appertaining to my intimate partner primary sources, all of the former ones, lie. Within it, you can learn more about 3 of the appliances, the former intimate partner primary sources, that reside there. I call them the 3 that got away, and by using the link in the video description, you can learn more about the dynamic between H.G. Tudor, the Ultra, and 3 former intimate partner primary sources, the 3 who got away. You will find it extremely interesting. Here are some of the reactions from some of my long-standing readers who have read the material. Sweet as Perfection wrote, "Wow, wow, wow, and wow." I'm giving you 3 wows for the shocking information we just got about your relationships, and an extra one for another piece of information I personally found extremely interesting. I won't do any spoilers, otherwise it will not be as enticing for people, but people go read it, totally worth it. Fool Me One Time wrote, "Thank you for allowing me the privilege of reading this. You are an amazing and gifted writer. This is definitely worth purchasing." Jaya wrote, "Absolutely necessary. For those who have questions about Karen, they need to read this. I've often wondered what became of her and how she came to escape you. I imagined various scenarios, but could never have guessed this actual case." Gypsy Hart wrote, "It was like watching the ending to a movie or series and being completely unsettled by the end and not being able to sleep." Jess MNY wrote, "Wow, I just read The Three That Got Away. Holy shit, I wasn't expecting that. Very good read. I have so many questions." MB, "Let's just say it will be satisfying to any truth seekers that haven't ordered it yet." If you want to learn more about me and the dynamic between the Ultra and former intimate partner primary sources, to understand more about the dynamic of narcissism generally, do access this material. You will both be entertained, amazed, and of course, as always, informed. Thank you for listening.